So it looks like we're playing a bait and switch here, like swapping up the names at the last minute. It's because one of our alumni got stuck at work where she works as a web developer digging out a bug. Can't make it. That's okay, Megan's here. She's awesome. Thank you, Leah. You're welcome. Yeah, mine should go back. Sure. You're the best. You're the best. Thank you. We learned first. Okay, so we're going to do 25 minutes, and then we'll back here at 55, and so we'll just sit there for 3 minutes, and then after we can go later. How's everybody doing?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do a tour in about 5 minutes of the student space. What you're in right now is our public event space. And then when we come back from the tour, there'll be a panel with current students, alumni, and one of our instructors. And there are plenty of people around after the fact to have sort of individual conversations if you have specific questions or you want to chat about your goals. So I'll be back at 5.
Hello. Hey, so I did not have ours. Okay. And take one of these numbers.
And then in about 5 minutes, we can actually start. Very good.
Front row. It is risky. It's like somebody calls you up and wants you to participate in the magic.
So like I can.
Yeah.
Second row.
The second row is there. Okay, so those of you that are here now, we're going to do a tour and then we'll come back to this panel. You can leave your coats and bags, and they will be here. There will be some of the space. Just make your mind the exit. Looking the farthest. And we go more to row here. What? Like what? Okay, alright. Got it. Welcome to the bootcamp. My name is Emily. Some of you guys probably got emails from me. Inviting you to this, thanks for coming. We're going to talk about sort of the experience that people have when they come here and what they do after with the panel. So what I want to show you is really like brass tacks and what our space looks like, what your life will be like when you're here. This is Duke, he's one of our instructors. He'll be around to chat after this too. So just follow me.
Yeah, everyone's got a script.
Probably.
I'll just talk.
Yeah, they've been like practicing. You're talking about me.
Yeah.
Talk about that too, and how you like to.
According to comments.
Yeah,
Whole day I was
I called one that didn't have left it out.
Oh, yeah. think they do that. It's just so rare because they did vacuum, but the space was just empty. Given how the clean is today, I can't imagine they just never vacuumed. It would be awful.
You don't want
The thing is, then if I actually vacuum the place, there's no way. It's just move chairs and really, really bad. So they don't budget for someone to spend 2 months out. Really floors that already couldn't do this whole building. And I guess they could. But you probably could in a week back in places. Yeah. Because, yeah.
probably have to do it.
Places.
We have over 50 every day. And then we have events. So every day we have.
She's on the floor, she's on the table.
Furniture is just everywhere. It's just very stressful.
I did a whole load of laundry this morning. Dishes. Just for things I can pick up. I don't know. Sorry about that. If something happened, I would have absolutely useless. It's just like,
Did happen, and we didn't have any like big protocol about like how to handle situations. So that was a learning. That's what it's at.
Yeah, they will hear.
Hello. How are you?
But how are you?
I'm here for the tour. The tour already started.
Yeah.
It's like keep your name.
Actually.
Oh, we didn't get them. So we need you just to sign in here.
Okay.
With your name and email address and it's
Okay, sure.
or email address you would. And then, there's the slide that you can take. As well as the events.
Okay.
And then we'll get started in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
That's so much to blame people. I just think they always know where your cup is. It's not a little thing to put away. I know which ones are mine.
I thought about bringing like a coffee one here, but I feared that we get.
How do I offer this? Did this come to Troy?
We did, we're gonna do another one at the end, the talk, so we'll get another tour.
I'm gonna sit in later here.
Thanks.
I'm gonna wait right here, just tell me.
Would you feel?
Absolutely. Jim, do you have any?
And then you have a calendar of events and celebration at DEC. Okay. And then we'll get started in just 10 minutes.
The titles, thank you guys, professor.
Oh, what else? Sorry, that was. Although I for no good reason, only just to. I never even read books.
Never.
Here we go, I'll start at England and then you choose Harry Potter. That's your recommendation.
It's just because I came here, it's Harry Potter, it's like, it was a damn Harry Potter joke.
Did you read them? Me neither.
It was more of
It's
a-
like taboo.
it's just- Well, there's 3 right here. You and me. Many people have. There's just something.
When it's getting shut down.
Childhood.
Was it, yeah.
Just like kids learning to do some else.
C.S. Lewis. Right.
Hi, Hayden.
Yeah.
Zach, can you let me know the bathroom combination?
I don't think there is one.
That's not a bad thing.
If there is, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure there's not. It looks like there's one, but how's it going?
Good, how are
Pretty good. How's phase 3 treating you?
Hard.
You say hard?
Hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just that like you leave these two and you're like so happy you get it and then it's like
Yeah. It's a lot less guided, or at least it was for us. Like,
yeah.
kind of, it's kind of exciting on one hand because you can do a lot of interesting things.
But it's stressful.
But then, yeah, there's more pressure on you to.
We had to do the 5-day project and this weekend. Like from last weekend over this weekend.
Yeah.
It's like you keep trying to do like you know how to do it. And you keep trying and it just doesn't work.
Our 5-day project was a disaster.
I can see it.
Yeah. And yeah, it was terrible. We had, like, we didn't, our product didn't even really work. It was a bad idea, and we had terrible team dynamics. So it was like,
And we chose our teams. It was alright.
oh, that's nice.
The bad thing about it too is that like I feel like you go into phase 3 thinking like by now I'm gonna know how to do a lot of things. Seeing like what you saw in the graduation project.
Yeah.
And then you do the 5-day project.
It's normal, I guess. I'm gonna go to the bathroom quick first.
Yes, I spent 15 minutes, you have an hour where you finish class, so I tried. It'd be nice to have that, but those don't exist, so take what I've done. The Ruby roads are just nice enough to use now. Some of them just go on.
I have this really good. Yeah.
Everybody loves cereal.
Everyone said.
There's something.
No, actually, it's the person who I use it right now. So it happened when I was in middle school. And
What's
she was
this
really
one?
No,
Every year they'll be producing.
So, so they reached the character from how it's basically it's the example of the Christmas and Christmas video. And I found it valuable. And so because of that, so we reached out to other reporter. And so that's how this case Yeah, like I was writing, but I was also studying it's really kind of weird to have this back and like it's just really interesting and hard and all for stuff like that. Just a episode on it, and it and I was listening to it, there were like details that came up that I was like, oh my God, I know this story. That's really weird. And then I just told oh, the story that happened was like that's really weird. So, surreal. Yeah.
It's one story. It's a story. Say, give me the investigation.
All right, panel. Can I have this speech?
It's much more concise. That's why people like it. Because it's
And then like the lady is very engaging.
yeah, there I am.
Okay, thank you guys for coming out tonight. For those of you that came in a little later, we'll do a tour again after this panel. So, or those of you that didn't get enough of me and you want to take a second tour, we can do that as well. I'm Emily. Some of you have probably emailed with me about this event or about other things. I do all of our marketing promotions, community events, partnerships, things like that here at Dev Bootcamp. We have been in Chicago for coming up on 2 years in April. We've graduated 1,000 graduates across the country. That's in our 3 locations, San Francisco, New York, and Chicago. But here in Chicago, we are over 350 graduates that are now out in the world working as web developers. Hello. I am going to talk more later, but I want to introduce you guys to our panel first. So our goal here is that you get some different perspectives. There's a lot of paths people take to get to Dev Bootcamp and a lot of things they do with it after. And so I want people here to give you a little bit of a taste. So can we just start with introductions and what I will call your Dev Bootcamp journey, which is basically how did you end up here? You want to go first?
Hi everyone, I'm Dalal. I am a phase 3 student at Dev Bootcamp. So
What's your cohort?
Bison.
We name our cohorts after animals.
Prior to Dev Bootcamp, I was working in finance and private equity, and then I did my MBA, and I think after doing the MBA, I realized I wanted to get some technical background, specifically like with coding, and I looked at different places to do it and realized that it would take me a really long time to learn it by myself. So Dev Bootcamp was a great way to like supplement my skill set and do it in a short phase of time. Thanks.
My name's John. I'm in phase 2. I'm a squirrel.
There are noises, but I'm not going to make any do that.
We appreciate that. Prior to coming here, I spent the last 20 years working in restaurants in varying capacities. I was always the sort of like on-site IT guy, but never really enjoyed the work. It was just a means to an end. And while I read lots of tech articles, I always sort of thought it was out of my grasp to become a programmer professionally until I read the article about DBC opening up in Chicago and suddenly felt like this was a place that was sort of calling to me. And so after finding out about the community and the atmosphere that exists here, I realized it was something that fit me very well. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm a mud puppy. We graduated in November last year. Before DBC, I went to college to get a degree in English literature. And then after college, I decided to become a chef because I thought those would go hand in hand, and they don't. So I ended up working like front of house at this really, really cute cafe in San Francisco that just wasn't getting me where I wanted to be. And I'd always been kind of interested in coding. So I started teaching myself and realized I couldn't, like, I had just reached a point where I couldn't learn anymore on my own without it taking just way too long. So I applied to Dev Bootcamp and made it through.
And wait, what has happened since?
Yeah, well, I'm in the job search
Yeah.
right now. Really close to this one job, but still just waiting on a written offer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Zach. I was a Coyote last summer, graduated in August, and my background before Dev Bootcamp was as a 8th grade civics teacher for a year, and then a number of other jobs after that in quick succession, culminating in 2 years as a waiter. And I decided I needed to figure out what I was going to do when I grew up. So a few conversations with some people led me to think that coding might be something I would actually have an aptitude for and be interested in doing. So I taught myself a little bit and then stumbled across Dev Bootcamp and thought that that just seemed like a great way to transition from waiting tables to something a lot better for me and my family. So I went to Dev Bootcamp, graduated, and now I'm almost 6 months into my new job at Give Forward, whose t-shirt I'm wearing right now.
Nice promo. Good work. What's Give Forward for people who don't know?
That is a good question. Give Forward is a crowdfunding platform for primarily medical fundraisers.
I did not mean to put 3 food service folks in a row. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Nate.
Hey everyone, I'm Nate. I'm an instructor here at DBC. I've taught here in Chicago more or less since it opened, so about 2 years now. And what did I do? So tried going to college, and through part of college, I thought I would like learn computer science in college, and realized that my learning style or whatever was just really not gonna work for me at university. So I found myself learning a lot on my own, and I just started kind of kept at it, kind of did it the long hard way before things like DBC existed. So I spent a couple of years learning, kind of putting myself out there, getting work, kind of made a career out of it. And so since then, I have worked as a developer for about 10 years now, done some startup stuff. I've done a bunch of freelancing. Most recently in Chicago, I worked at a software consultancy called Optiva, which got bought by Groupon. So I worked at Groupon for like 2 years. And after about 2 years at Groupon, I was getting a little bored. It was the first bit of time there was like super challenging and really kind of had me growing a ton. But I wanted a different challenge. And so for me, teaching sounded like a different challenge. So here, I ended up working for Dave Hoover, who's kind of the founder of DBC here in Chicago, my last 3 jobs, including this one. And so when he was founding DBC, I was looking for a challenge. He's doing something different. Teaching sounds like a blast. So that's how I ended up here. Yeah, been here for 2 years and really, really enjoyed it. It's been challenging. I've grown in different ways. I'm not trained as a teacher, but I'm definitely learned a bunch since I've been here. But it's been really fun to teach students like this.
So we will turn over to you guys for Q&A in a bit, but I want to pose this one for the 4 of you that have been through the program. The question is most surprising thing getting here. Could be surprising about Dev Bootcamp, could be surprising about web development as a discipline. What was different than what you expected? Anyone can go first. We don't have to go down the line.
I certainly didn't expect the call it an emotional roller coaster of the process.
Okay.
Today happens to be a really good day, but
What makes it a good day?
Everything's clicking. I'm firing on all cylinders, and I'm absorbing information, and everything is working the way it's supposed to. There's bumps in the road along the way as you're learning anything, but there are some days that are very, very frustrating, and I don't know, you just keep coming back the next day, and the next day is something completely different, and so you have new opportunities to have an awesome day again.
What about the rest of you? Something surprising? Nothing. It was exactly as you
That's pretty much what I
would say
expected.
that,
Yeah.
the type of people that are here, like I kind of was worried a little bit coming in, and like kind of had an image in my mind of how it would be, but I feel like it's like a mix of every kind of like personality, every kind of background, all kinds of people. So it's been really interesting, and it's a good diverse bunch of people. It's really fun.
I'll just throw in there that I am not a developer, but I've worked for a number of years in tech companies, and until I actually saw it in practice, I thought that coding was a solo thing that people did in their basements. This sort of like very like nerdy but alone, like kind of solitude sort of thing. And when I got to my last job at a tech company and then here, the amount of group work and pair work and sort of like straight up conversation was very surprising to me. Anybody else?
I mean, echoing that, how effective pairing is. Like, I didn't know if it was going to be kind of a struggle or like one person being like, no, this is my idea and I know everything, but instead it's you just figure it out together. And when someone doesn't get it, you go and research it. And it was just really cool to have that kind of learning support from students, not just teachers.
A lot of camaraderie around here.
Yeah.
We're all sort of struggling through it together,
Yeah.
and it binds us together very tightly.
Yeah, is it hard to be here?
Yes.
Why?
It's a lot of work. I think that the teachers intentionally overwhelm you, especially in the first couple weeks. And it's even if you're very prepared, or you think you're very prepared, that'll help, but it's still at some point gonna kick your butt. Probably a lot of times.
For you two that are alums, how'd the job search go? Megan, I know yours is in process.
In process.
Did you feel ready? Like
No.
for going to interviews and applying to
No,
jobs?
not
Great.
at all. I mean, like I felt like I could bring a lot to a company, and I was definitely more ready than I was at the beginning of Dev Bootcamp, but I just had no idea what the process would be like. But luckily, there's Career Week, and that gives you a lot of really good leads and really good like tips and tactics for getting through the job interview and the process.
How was yours?
It was also a lot of work. I felt well prepared for it and very confident going into it, largely because of just the statistics that I knew that the vast majority of Dev Bootcamp graduates do get hired within a couple months or 3 months or however long the exact average is. So it was, I probably worked about 6 or 7 hours a day on my job search specifically, for the entire month until I got a job. But so it was hard work and definitely a hustle, but I felt like I was very well supported and prepared for it.
For those of you that already went on the tour, I'm repeating myself, but for everybody else, we talk a lot about how this is not a silver platter situation where there's a guaranteed job waiting for you on the other end, but it's a very supported process. Our full-time career counselors and their staff and the network that they've built in Chicago, like a physical, it's called Dev Connect. You can go in and look at companies and profiles, and we'll make introductions for you. So it's supported, but yeah, you absolutely do have to hustle. So thanks for that note.
Yeah.
One more question for everybody, and then I will open up to the floor. Piece of advice for people who are considering taking this step. Things they should think about.
If this is something you're considering and it's because you want a change in your life, then just do it. Just do it. Take the risk. It's got like an immense payoff, even in just terms of like learning how to learn and be like reliant on yourself, because although there is a lot of pairing here and you get the great support from the network and other people, you're the person like doing this. So you can, like, if you can take this step, you can pretty much do anything.
I would say, I know you guys are already here and it's like you're showing interest, but like really try it out and see for yourself. Like a lot of people realize after starting the program that maybe it's not for them, or maybe they wanted to do UX or something else. So try out all the free resources that you can like try out and like Code Academy, whatever. And then like if you really feel like it's clicking, like it's making you happy, you get that rush from like getting things to work, then this is like a great place to be. Or like any other coding school. But like,
No, but this one.
Yeah.
But this one, yeah.
I'd say consider your commute. I live in Plainfield, which is the southwest suburbs, and it is quite a trek every day that I hadn't exactly considered fully. And I envy some of the people that live closer for those couple extra hours they have every day, because every minute counts. There is no extra time. If you find yourself with extra time, it's because you're throwing it away. There's always something else to be done, something to go over, something to redo just to get more information in your head.
I have a question. Sorry. So if you were to repeat the process, would you consider getting an apartment right nearby here instead?
It sort of depends on how much lead time I had on it. I may have arranged things differently to make that more convenient, but the nature of how my life is right now, it's just sort of have to power through it. And so, it becomes do what you got to do to get through the process.
We have people in all kinds of living arrangements. There's a fair number of commuters, and I totally agree that that's tough. Some people do like long-term Airbnbs, or they partner up with other people. Almost half of the folks that come here in Chicago are coming from out of Chicago for this. So people will connect you to each other. We can't provide housing, but sometimes people network and they find a cheap place that they share that's walking distance from here, just to make their lives easier. And then plenty of people already live in Chicago and they commute by train or bus, just like anyone, as if you were going to a job or school. How about you, Zach? Advice as you're thinking about it?
Oh yeah, as you're thinking about it. There's a number of things. I guess as you're thinking about it, leading up to it, I don't think you can half-ass any part of Dev Bootcamp. To get to my point, I have a daughter, and had I not also had my wife who was able to quit her job and take care of Elowen, and we all lived with my in-laws for the time that I was here, I don't know what I would have done, because I had no energy at the end of the day, emotionally or physically, to take care of a child. So if you have a kid, make sure that you have some support to help with your kid the whole time, because you're probably going to be pretty worthless outside of Dev Bootcamp for those 2-ish months. So you just I think it requires 100% commitment to make it through.
Nate, is there anything you want to add from the teacher perspective, things that people should know or think about before they get here?
A lot of it's rehashing what was said earlier. So I wouldn't doubt coming to Dev Bootcamp if you're afraid that you can't do this. I don't think that's going to be your limitation. None of us are born destined to be developers. You just have to want it and work for it. So don't worry, can I do this? We have students from every background come through, some with experience, most with very little or none. Just follow Dalal's advice, dip your toes in this somehow and try and decide, is this what you'd really like to do as a career? it's wonderful if you've been bouncing around careers, you're unhappy and you're wanting to find one that you really like. So I'd encourage you to test the waters as much as you can. And like Zach was saying, if you do decide to come here, be willing to make some pretty drastic changes in your life for the time period. So move in with your in-laws, find some help to take care of your children or your pets or whatever it is. I see students who have to deal with things while they're here, and it's a real drag on their energy and their focus when there's something at home that sort of needs attention, that needs hours of attention, because there's just not hours available. What gets done here in 9 weeks or 12 weeks or 15 weeks, however long it takes you to go through the program, is something that alone I spent multiple years doing to become sort of at the DBC grad level. It is incredibly intense. And so the easier you can make the rest of your life, the smoother your process is going to be here. So just be willing to look at the things around you and make some changes to make this process as easy as possible, so you can focus all your energy on DBC. We ask a lot of you. Students give a lot. They support each other a lot. It's an extremely supportive environment, but at the end of the day, it's a big ask. So if you can, if you can make the rest of your life as painless as possible, we'll take care of the pain here. Don't worry.
I mean, on that note, this is not a great program for dipping your toe in. Like there are great programs. We can recommend some if you want to try an HTML class, if you want to do a little something for free. This is the jump in the deep end, because you're trying to make a super drastic change as quickly and like efficiently as you can. Like that's what we can offer here. Because all that was like super heavy and emotionally tough.
Yeah.
Can I get like favorite thing about DBC? And it can be silly, it can be anything, before we turn it over to these guys.
Some of the puns here are from
He's in charge of the puns. He makes all the puns.
His wordplay is incredible.
Yes.
Do you have a pun?
You can't just like, yeah, that's
Yes, you can.
yes,
My favorite thing about DVC was an optional lecture by one of the teachers here on web security, in which he showed us how to hack into the DVC website as the founder of DVC, and then challenged us to repeat what he had just done. And a handful of us actually did, and so we posted some videos on the DVC website as if they were posted by Dave Hoover.
nice work.
It was really fun.
I don't think they do that anymore.
No.
I think they fixed that.
I'd say that because of how intense it is and how much time you spend here, how much focus is committed to this process, within 2 weeks, the 21 people that are in my cohort became incredibly close friends. There was no way around. Like, we all were helping each other and getting each other through the process.
You're a squirrel, right?
Yeah.
They had a campaign called No Squirrel Left Behind to get everybody through the assessment successfully.
And it was just a matter, I mean, like, really, we sit and have lunch every day together. We hang out together. You know, people spend time outside of here for those that have time.
With all your free time.
Yeah. But they really have become incredibly close friends. And we even remarked, I was talking to some people about it a couple of weeks ago, about how strange it is, the degree of trust that we have with each other that I wouldn't normally have with people in just 2 weeks. Like, I just leave my laptop laying on a desk all day while we're running around and doing other stuff, and I'm nowhere near it. And it never occurs to me that, like, I probably should have turned on some security preferences or some, some sort of password lock or something on it.
If you were in my cohort, you definitely would have wanted to do it.
It just doesn't, I don't know. I trust
them.
them.
Somebody lost a $20 bill. They just sat on the carpet. Somebody put tape around it. And then tape around a bad day, question mark. And then it just sat there for 6 hours until somebody figured out whose it was.
By the way, this is Duke. He's in the back here. He'll be around after. He's one of our instructors, also an alumni of the program, went through the junior instructor program, which is one path.
Zach was in phase 3 when I was in phase 1.
Other favorite things, and then we're turning over to these guys.
Quirks.
Quirks, explain, explain.
I wasn't used to this, but like every time you have to introduce yourself, like at an event or anything, you have to tell a quirk about
I
yourself.
really should start with quirks at this. Why did I do that?
Too late.
I think
Thought it
too
was
late
weird.
now.
Okay.
Missed opportunity.
I think some people might not like them as much as I do. But yeah, it just I don't know. It just brings out a side of people that is just funny and like not so serious, and it like mimics the vibe of the place where like it's serious, but it's very comfortable. It's very chill. Everybody can be themselves.
Yeah, there are so many jokes here.
So many jokes.
Yeah, so many jokes. One are just so much fun here. One of the teachers got
An air wheel.
an air wheel, which is, if you don't know, it's basically a wheel that you stand on and then you like lean forward or backwards and to move around.
Like a Segway without the handlebars.
And he's on it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know why it's so funny, but it's so hilarious. Oh my God. It's especially funny to watch other people try it because they're not as good as he is.
Nate, favorite thing?
For me, the favorite thing is interacting with students and like John was saying, the camaraderie that just develops so quickly. In 2 weeks, you're all best friends. You've got each other's backs. You work with each other so hard. And as an instructor, that's one of the huge things that keeps me working here, is to be able to experience that. Every 9 weeks or every 3 weeks, there's a new set of faces that come in, new people to meet, new people to connect with from all these amazing, diverse backgrounds. Someone in our cohort, one of her most recent jobs was a tour guide at a jail that had been turned into a museum. And it was really interesting because it was a revolving jail where the cells are like a slice of pie and there's only one door, and so you would turn the whole jail to be able to get some. I mean, it's messed up, but kind of nuts that people, I mean, I've worked in the tech industry, and I'm really glad people like this are coming into the tech industry because it can be full of the same sort of people. And here, they're not the same. So that's what I really, really enjoy here.
My favorite thing is when people email us when they get job offers. When it's somebody who is a high school English teacher and they email us and they get a job they're really excited about or something. Everybody high fives. There's a lot of high fiving. Yeah. Okay, I want to turn it over to you guys. We can answer more questions. I can go over logistics. I put some like key numbers up here for you. Just for those of you who haven't taken the tour, we'll go over some of this. But 9 weeks, 9 weeks. 9 weeks is part-time, remote. 9 weeks is full-time on campus, career week. And as Nate mentioned, that 9 weeks that you're full-time, we do assessments every 3 weeks. So it could take you longer than 9 weeks, up to 15. And it doesn't cost anything extra, but when you're planning, it obviously makes your time here take longer. And then we have about 1,000 alumni, 350 of them in Chicago. Our student-teacher ratio is 10-1. And these are the next dates that we have groups starting. Like Nate mentioned, it's every 3 weeks. There's a new rolling cohort, which means that you're here overlapping with cohorts ahead of you and behind you. Which makes for some great opportunities for pairing, mentoring, teach-backs, stuff like that. So if you want to talk about this stuff, applications, numbers, we can talk after. But if you want perspectives, these people are your perspectives. Who's got a question? You're all 100% sold on Dev Bootcamp and you'll be applying tomorrow.
Yes.
I think it's probably for Nate. The two main languages are Ruby and JavaScript.
Yep.
How is that? Are they taught side by side, or is it one and the other? Or?
You'll learn, you'll focus on Ruby until actually tomorrow. John's starting Ruby in phase 2. So JavaScript, sorry. So the first 4 weeks are solely focused on Ruby, and then in the 5th week we'll start JavaScript, and it'll be a mix of Ruby and JavaScript from then on out.
Rails? Do you teach the Rails?
We teach Rails the 7th week. You'll learn Rails. Honestly, Rails, we'll give you an intro lecture on a Friday, and I won't say you teach it to yourself, but you'll build something with Rails over the weekend. By the time we get to Rails in this program, you're a learning machine. You've learned so many things on your own through teaching, through doing challenges. It's sort of hands-off learning. I mean, there's a lot of lectures and everything. Not a lot, thank God. No one wants lectures, including teachers. But by then, picking up Rails over the weekend is not intimidating at all. You'll just do it. You'll show up and we'll talk about it on Monday. It's pretty awesome. Like by the time you get there, you're freaking amazing, and it really shows.
This framework will be front end, the JavaScript, like Angular.
Usually, you'll get some exposure to either Backbone or something like Backbone. I usually teach Backbone without Backbone. I have you handwrite the equivalent to Backbone. For those of you who are, we're tossing out things. Backbone is a framework. There's others like Angular and Ember to write applications in JavaScript. So Ruby on Rails is the one to write web apps in Ruby, and Angular, Backbone, and Ember are all sort of competitors, if you will, to applications in JavaScript.
For the record, you don't need to know any of these terms mean.
Absolutely
Check
not.
out here.
Yeah.
You had a hand up.
Yeah, kind of boring logistical question. Does bootcamp run through weekends as well? So like,
Teachers aren't here.
We are.
Guys,
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so you'll have like group projects that you complete over the weekend. Teachers aren't here, but I don't want to say you're like you have to come in, but a lot of people do come in to work on the group projects. It's just easier to work if you're all in the same place. Yeah, but there's no like real hours either. It's not like you have to be there from 8 to 5.
Yeah, it's more open form, but being here on the weekends, even though there's no teachers around, there are other students around that oftentimes have the answers you're looking for, or sometimes the phase ahead of you will drag them over and be like, show me what's missing. Why is this not working?
Can you explain the pairing board?
Oh, yeah, and we have the pairing board is a giant grid where those of us in phase 2 and 3 put our names along one side and times of day, and other people can sign up for available slots to pair, either for us to pair with the phase 3 people, or maybe the phase 1 people pair with the phase 2 people, just to get somebody who already has some experience with what you're working on, give you some other perspective, or help you along. It's one of my favorite things about this is that there's no one teaching style. Even some people learn better from other, from different teachers, and so sometimes just having it explained to you a little bit differently is key to you grasping the concept. And it also builds camaraderie amongst us all. So
Teachers are here during the week from 8 to 5. Quite often, day finishes at 5. Students will break for dinner, come back for a couple hours. I mean, it's a personal thing, but you'll have teacher coverage from 8 to 5 every day.
No question.
I always
In the back.
As far as like support after you graduate, are there ongoing resources for like continued learning?
Oh, that's a great question. Like advanced lectures?
Yeah, things like that, or just extra classes.
There are some. That's not our emphasis. Like our emphasis is getting you to the junior developer level so you can get your first job, and we kind of, for the most part, count on your employer to be providing you the continued education. We do a speaker series on Thursday nights where we bring in developers from the greater Chicago community. Actually, one of those is on your calendar of events. And some of those talks are technical and some of them are more like workplace stuff. So we do that. Is there anything else that's in the continued education group?
Well, there's Dave's deep dive.
Oh yeah.
Sure, there's those deep dives.
We do have a couple mentors that offer like deep dive sessions. And then one of our teachers runs a code and coffee group on Tuesday mornings that does more advanced stuff. So there are those, but I would say that you'd have to go out of your way to really take advantage of them. It's not our primary focus.
Another thing we've done is we're starting a program. It's in its infancy. The curriculum's written where basically private companies are paying to get their junior developers. Usually it's like folks they'd like to hire. They just want them a little bit stronger. Or they've got junior developers and they want some additional training for them. That's a 3-week course that we charge these companies a bunch of money for, but we share the curriculum with you. So you wouldn't have support in the sense that you don't have instructors reviewing your code and the kind of feedback you get at DBC, but we're making that available. So as we come up with things, again, our focus is not post DBC, short of getting you a job. If we can get you a job, you will learn a lot on the job, more than us continuing to like drip you additional resources. Just go to work and you'll just suck up so much information so quickly. It'll be amazing, and you get paid for it. It's the best. So if we have things and we have been building things, we're happy to share them with you.
And during career week, we talk a lot about how to find leaders that are expanding your knowledge and then also like how to look for friendships if you're looking for the next step that's in between a junior developer job and DBC. We talk about companies that have really structured programs, but we really see a mix between schools that go full on to junior developer position because that's what we're gearing towards. But there are some that choose to go to production route, and so that would be the next step too.
I would add on to that, just because there's not a lot of formal post DBC education type of stuff within the DBC network and community that you become a part of. There's a ton of opportunities to learn from each other, and I feel like there's more stuff going on through my DBC friends in which I could learn like all kinds of cool stuff.
For example, Lorena, aren't you doing a Python 101?
Yeah.
This is Lorena.
I had to fix plugs at work.
She's an alumni.
Yeah, I'm Lorena. I'm an alumni. But one of the biggest things about continued learning, so I'm actually working with 2 DBC grads. One's a data engineer, one's a QA engineer, and then there's me, a platform engineer. By the way, I don't use Ruby. I don't use Ruby on Rails. I don't use JavaScript. I use Python. I use Django. I use Java. Did a little Lua the other day. So I think if that tells you anything, it's more about mentality and the philosophy of how you learn. And the community here is just so, like Dave Stiles is also doing another lecture series, reading like one of the fundamental books that like every computer science undergrad like reads. And I don't know if he's doing it in Lisp, but he's a really passionate and empowered person. So the community is going to be your vessel for learning. Because every single developer I work with, the way they learn is coding meetups to build projects on their own and share that knowledge back.
Thank you. More questions? Yeah.
For a program like this, I imagine we're not really paying for the curriculum or the textbook. We're paying for the environment, the discipline, the mentality.
The instructors too.
And I remember, when you guys were talking about your experiences and how you came here, I heard the word plateau. I couldn't learn any more on my own. I'd hit a wall, etc. Some people who are not sure if they've hit that wall or if they can keep on going, is there any way we can see like a random page from like week 7 or something like that, or week 4? We've all been in that situation in college where like you took a class that maybe you shouldn't have taken because you didn't learn anything until the very end. Or like, is there an assessment test or something that's like, if you can do this, you probably should not be in this class?
It's a great question.
Because it is money.
Oh yeah. It's money. It's time.
I feel like the interview process, I felt very well vetted by the interview process. That if I had come to them with too much knowledge, they would have stopped me and been like, this is like, you're beyond this point.
So there is a chance for figuring that out if that's the case, right?
So I want to split this into 2 things. One is, can we get you something to try? Probably, but talk to me after. We don't, that's not a typical thing. What John's referring to is after you submit your application, we actually send you some exercises on a platform called Ruby Monk to try and to spend some time on with yourself. And it gives you something to talk about with your interviewer. And it also sort of is a check-in that you enjoy this material, you know what you're getting into, and how do you deal with that kind of challenge. So that's a thing that you will encounter as part of the interview process, and it's not designed to test, do you already know this? Like, we don't expect you to already know this. It's about sort of exploring the topic. So we'll talk about a specific thing. If you want to try to see some piece of something, we can probably work something out. But could those of you that referenced sort of plateauing on your own, maybe talk about what that was like and why you decided that this environment was the next step?
I guess I decided that since I wanted to continue with coding, and it was something that I really liked, but would also like take me a little while to get into. Every time I sat down at the computer, I couldn't just like sit down and be like, oh, I'm like totally in this problem. It's totally fine. It would always take me a little bit to get into it, and then like switching to another task was also always a little bit weird. And just the way that my life was, I couldn't spend like hours a day coding, which I knew would probably be the better way to learn and keep going with programming. And I also, I wasn't sure which resources were good resources and like if I was actually getting the right answer, or not answer, but like the right building blocks to do what it was, or just to do any like good programming. And it always also seemed like I would get through the beginning part of a site like RubyMonk or Code Academy. I would get through the beginning part and then they would be like, okay, cool, now we're going to go on to more advanced things. And I'd be like, great. And all the advanced things would just be like totally over my head really fast. So I figured I would probably benefit from a place that had real people I could ask questions if I needed to, and like something where everybody was doing the same thing. So that just, I don't know.
Also adds just from a job ready, like it's sort of a question of, do you feel equipped to go get a job as a junior developer right now? If you currently feel like that's a place that you could apply and get hired, then this might be redundant, like the content might be redundant. But one of the other things is doing it on your own doesn't necessarily prepare you to pair program or work in a group or think about feedback and coding and working on code that isn't yours and that kind of thing. Like those are career readiness skills that by being in an environment like this, you are able to at least practice. Anybody else want to add to any of that?
My daughter goes to a preschool in church. We just moved here last month, and like we're on the parent team with like property management. So last night I had to go to the church between like 7:30 and 9 p.m. and turn a church into a preschool, bring out all the stuff, and, like bleach and clean every garbage can and surface and everything. And somebody remarked during that process of like 10 of us working together on this, like I don't know why I don't have this much fun cleaning my house. And my initial, like my instant response to my house was, you don't have 10 other parents doing it with you. And I think it's very analogous to the experience here. There's things that you know you need to get done and that you know you benefit from that are just a lot more fun when you surround yourself with other people that agree on that stuff with you. And I think that might be the hidden value of this whole experience. It's just the elephant in the room. Like other people make this fun or break it, and the people here tend to be really fun people.
In addition to puns, Duke is in charge of metaphors. Yeah, okay.
So I guess this is for Nate as well. I'm looking at a bunch of different bootcamp programs, specifically this and Hack Reactor. And I know that Hack Reactor has a curriculum that focuses strictly on JavaScript and doesn't do Ruby. I think they do a little bit of HTML and CSS as well. What do you think is the benefit of also having Ruby's knowledge, and why do you think they only focus on a JavaScript curriculum?
I can't say I know why they've decided just to focus on JavaScript only. It's a thing that I can say today that I probably couldn't say like 3 or 4 years ago, but you can build entire applications just with JavaScript. Just like you could build entire applications with Ruby years ago and Python years ago. So why just JavaScript? I'm not sure. Probably simplifies things. You only have one language in your head at any time. I think we give you sort of the breadth of experience here to say I can work on the back end and I can work on the front end. JavaScript is now appearing in the back end, so I think, I don't know, I'd say I think Ruby's a language kind of near and dear to me, and I really, really enjoy it, and I'm really glad that we teach it. It's something that I'll probably always program in. I can't really say if one design of a curriculum is better than the other, because like Lorena mentioned, it's really not about coming out of here knowing JavaScript or Ruby necessarily. It's coming out of here having experience developing software, having experience learning new technologies and being comfortable learning technologies. So if you leave and you have to learn Python and Lua and Java, you can do just that. So yeah, I wouldn't consider that difference between our program and their program a deciding factor. Unless it's some esoteric language that you have very limited, ability to apply it, I wouldn't make the language choice necessarily the difference. I think all of these students, myself included, I'd be totally comfortable applying for a job that was in a different language. I wouldn't feel like that was my limiting factor in the job search. I might pick certain jobs because I prefer working in certain languages, but it wouldn't be something that would kind of scare me away from applying for any particular job.
I think what you'll also hear is that there's always trying to new languages. Like it's an industry that evolves really fast. And so the question is, and I'm not saying that Hack Reactor's not, it's more like what we're trying to equip you for is a future in that industry, which means that you're adaptable and you respond to new technologies well, and you ask lots of questions, and you're a good group member, and all of those things that as the new trendy language surfaces, you're still perfectly equipped to work in that industry. Yeah.
Does anybody from Dev Bootcamp wind up working in game design?
I can think of one person. I'm happy to connect you after, but I would not say that that is the trend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of equipping you to be a web developer. You can leave and do other things, but your toolkit coming out of here is that sort of a box. You can go and apply it to do other things as well, but be a bit more of a stretch then.
Just got off of that, I'm glad you asked that. Might be a silly question, but this is, you become a junior programmer aimed towards a job in web development.
Yep.
Is that the end of the road? Do you see people who are looking or end up with jobs as marketing specialists or some other title, and this was kind of a stepping stone to something that developed into something else?
Lorena, you want to go first? You were making a funny face.
So I come from a policy analyst background, and I work with lots of data. So where I work, my company's Spread Social, and we aggregate terabytes of data, and we are building our reporting, and I like to geek out on data. So I think if that was the end of the line for me, it's just I work on back-end technologies, but I don't really think that's a conversation. But once you realize you can pick up these tools and learn, I think it's really, you can kind of, I guess the way I thought of it when I made my transition is if I wanted to go over here, I would take a step to the right and then take a step forward. And I think that's just the way you kind of reconfigure what is your career path. Because I mean, I know people who are PhDs who are coming to Dev Bootcamp, and they want to invent that career because they're a communication specialist. They want to make an app, or maybe they have some really cool research idea they have, and programming just allows them to do that. So I think web development is a really cool way to get into it. I don't think that's the end of the road.
I'll also say just, we've only been around, this is a new industry, like not just us, but the idea of a coding boot camp. So nobody can say, well, 5 years out, this is what our graduates do. Like those statistics don't exist yet. We're starting to have people in their second jobs, like people who've been out for, a year and a half, 2 years, the first round of those people going to get their second jobs, and they're not junior anymore. They're associate level, like just straight up web developers. Some people are leading teams. Marketing seems to me like an odd switch, but not.
Yeah, just throwing it out there. Is anything that you think?
I think product management, leading teams, what would be like the next level? What do you think people would be doing?
Yeah, I think a project manager for a team of devs seems like a really like a sort of a lateral move that makes a lot of sense. I've loved working for project managers or product development managers who have been developers before. It went really smoothly because we could speak the same language. We had a common ground. We understood what it meant to actually do something. It made working together really pleasant. The other ones were great too, but it was nice. So that kind of a move I think makes total sense. And there are people who come here and then they go back and finish their MBA and aren't necessarily planning on developing software day to day. They just wanted to come here and get the experience so that when they work with developers, they've got their head straight when it comes to technology.
Yeah. It's more a logistical question. I'm guessing if you're in this program, it's not even possible to have like a part-time job. Like how, if you are financially independent, how can you survive for this amount of time without working?
You definitely can't. You can have a part-time job during phase 0, the prep, but you certainly can't do it while you're here full-time. You guys can answer this how you want. I will say that like the official party line is, how would you pay for a year-long master's program? You might spend a couple years saving or serious time. You might take out a loan. You might borrow from your parents or family or friends. You might put it on a credit card. People literally do things like that. There's a lot of creative ways, but the same way that you would pay for any investment in your education is the same way that you would pay for this. You guys want to add anything?
I had to rob a bank.
You robbed a bank? Yeah, that's
Uh,
Oh, hang on, just any more thoughts on that?
oh, just like, don't forget to factor in your cost of living and everything with that too.
It's
Because
a real
that
thing.
can make it stack up. But
To give you a real answer, I didn't rob a bank. I just got a personal line of credit.
yeah, I did that. I took out, my parents had this like education fund for me that I just cleared out. So, and I've been saving a lot too.
I opened one of those 0% for 15 months credit cards.
Nice.
I think estimate too, when you plan like your financial impact of this, is probably disastrously short because you might repeat a phase or 2 phases, which takes you 15 weeks right there. And then you have a job search. So I would say that a 9-week estimate is probably like a third of what you should actually be like planning for, as far as like not knowing what's going to happen. Yeah, I had to open a GoFundMe and like have friends and relatives and people who believe in my journey and trajectory.
Get paid on our first day.
Kind of stuff.
You get paid on the first
day.
So you have to wait another 2 weeks or a month.
Some of that passion.
Already.
That's, I think that there's a lot of ways to do it. It's just like a razor, there's like a master's thing, there's a million ways to go after it. And it's like what Zach said too with the job search, like, welcome to the hustle. Like, if you want to do something like this, be prepared to work really hard at like every step and be prepared for the next step to maybe be a little bit more challenging and intricate than you thought it was going to be. And it's a really cool thing because by the time you get through the first couple, like, oh, I did this thing, I got through phase 1, I got my funding thing taken care of. Every single step of the way, the adventure gets more and more real, and the challenges get bigger, and the payoff when you actually get to that next step is awesome. And now it's like, then you realize, I don't know, I never really felt like an adult before I did this. And I feel like that's kind of like what adulthood is. It's just a series of serious challenges with the rest of the you pull off and you move on to the next step.
I heard somebody estimate 6 months up front. Like, that's not a bad model, right? If you think about you're going to be here for 19 weeks, which is 4.5 months, including phase 0. You can keep your job during that, although it's an intense time commitment. But then, yeah, you're planning on probably 3 months for your job search. That's like a good estimate. And there are some people for whom it takes longer. We find that at 4 months, about 85% of our people here in Chicago have landed in a job, but it could take that long. So think about it this way, you're spending all your time here learning to code. Like, you're not out networking, you're not working on your resume, you're not going on interviews because you don't know the material yet. And then you start your job search when you graduate. So there's a lag time there. Even if you get an offer, sometimes they're like, yeah, you can start in 6 weeks. And you're like, great. Okay. Yes.
Megan and Zach. So I know isn't the last week you do your self project or something?
It's a group project.
No,
but yeah.
You do a group project.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So,
Not a self-project.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you do your own.
Yeah, it's the 8-day projects.
Right. So did that help you in your job search? Did you put that on your GitHub and in your resume? And also, what was it? Curious.
So
Yours was great. I'm excited
my
to hear you
group,
talk about this.
my group built a website geared at teaching children JavaScript. But the big tricky part of it was you would type JavaScript into the text field, and then when you hit submit and you submitted it, it would evaluate and send the code to a robot that moved based on your commands. Yeah, it was really, really cool.
I wish I would have gone first.
Using robots is atypical, but really awesome.
We went last.
Is it still up on the internet?
The site is still up, but since you need the physical robot to do the
Right.
things, it's not connected to the robot, but there is an animation.
The final project that lasts 8 days is a group project. Many of them are on YouTube. If you want to watch videos about them,
Yeah.
the Dev Bootcamp YouTube channel has a bunch. You've already watched them?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's cool. I can send you more. What was yours, Zach?
My group did we built 2 apps that were kind of like the same app, but one was in Rails and one was in Node, which is a JavaScript framework. Something. I don't know exactly what it is. It's a JavaScript thing. But we were just trying to compare how how it was to build it into 2 different tools and how they performed. And the app itself was just basically a map that you could type in a hashtag that you wanted to track, and then it would live stream all the tweets with whatever that hashtag was onto the map. And Node was a lot better for that than Rails, it turned out.
Thanks.
Pitch day is next Wednesday, which is when anyone in the space, students, alumni, staff, can pitch an idea that they want the groups to choose, and then they coalesce around and find ideas. Leah, were you waving your hand at me?
This Wednesday.
It's this Wednesday, as in this Wednesday. Yes, that's what I meant. Thank you. Graduation, by the way, is on your calendar of events. If you want to come to that, it's at 9 o'clock on a Friday morning. So if you have a job, sometimes that's challenging. But you can come and you can actually see final projects as they happen. And we also invite many members of our community, alumni, mentors, and employers who are coming to check out the new batch of Dev Bootcamp grads. So come to that on every 3 Fridays. We have a graduation.
That's here?
That's here in the space. And there's breakfast.
And I'm sorry, you had another part to your question. I definitely put that on my resume and wanted to talk about it. I was pretty selective though. It was that and one other site that I had built actually pre-Dev Bootcamp, because a lot of the stuff that I had done through Dev Bootcamp was in various states of not being finished. So I just narrowed it down to a couple things.
Yeah.
On remote prep, you're talking online, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The first 9 weeks is, what are you teaching the first 9 weeks?
It's actually more of a survey of a lot of the concepts you're going to see when you get here. So the idea is to introduce people, because people come in from all different levels and they've seen some things, they haven't seen some things, or they've seen nothing at all. So we give you like a little tiny bit of a lot of different things over that 9 weeks to prep you for coming here to deep dive on more.
Yeah, so you guys have done it. I haven't.
Yeah, so phase 0 covered Ruby, JavaScript, you do some SQL. There's pairing, like that is not optional. Like everybody has to pair, like a given time, I think 4 times a week, maybe sometimes.
It's like twice a week.
Yeah,
2 or
like
3
some
times.
weeks are like
Remote
3
pairing,
times.
so the 2 of you are on like a Google Hangout.
Yeah.
Pairing.
And there's pairing sessions with the students that are with you and also with instructors. And there are challenges for every week that you must complete by the end of the week, as well as keeping up a blog that you require your students.
You do HTML and CSS as well.
Yeah, HTML, it's like a fair amount of work.
Yeah.
Little SQL at the end.
Any HTML or CSS at all?
Yeah, it starts with HTML and CSS.
Week 2.
One of the first things you do is build a website that you're gonna like put your blog posts on.
Think of it as like a shallow introduction to a lot of the stuff,
Yeah.
but you get much deeper.
Gives everybody a baseline to come in at least that level.
Yes.
So that way when you get here, you're not completely.
Good question.
So that's my question.
Oh.
I understand the 9 weeks intensive, you have to be here. The 9 weeks, bring everyone up to speed. If you've got a previous experience, can you shorten that?
You can
start
shorten
every
it.
3 weeks.
It just might take you less time. Like it might not take you 20 hours a week to get through it. But you have to do it at the same pace because you're doing it as a cohort. You're doing it with the group you're going to show up with here. So you might have a substantially less time commitment throughout the week, but it's still the 9 weeks.
I did it while working full-time and going to school part-time.
That's incredible.
I didn't have any free time. But I mean,
All right, I think we can do maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
There's
For those of
one
you
there.
that didn't take a tour, we're gonna do a tour after. And then everyone here and a few other folks, we have Leah, a career counselor, you wanna wave at us? Duke, who's an instructor. Gabby is a current student. Are you here for this? You just hanging out?
Sure.
Okay, she just stepped in.
I
Awesome.
am now.
Great. Lorena in the back is an alumni who's working at Sprout Social. Courtney in the back corner who checked you in is our program coordinator, manages all the stuff that happens here. So all these people are going to be around to answer individual questions as you go. Before we do your last couple questions, you all picked up a calendar. Those are free, open to the public events. We would love to see you back here. It's also, we talked a lot about dipping your toe in. So getting lots of perspectives on this stuff before you make a huge commitment is a great idea. And then the 1-pager just sort of reminds you, it's got the list of the curriculum we cover, our location, the 9-week career week structure, all that stuff. And the last thing is my business card is up at the front table. So if you have specific questions you want to follow up with me on, I run personal tours. If you want to come back or bring a spouse or family member or friend to get, a second set of eyes, we can do a one-on-one tour anytime you want. Okay, so let's do 2 more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Yes.
So obviously, you know, we do our very best to prevent this from happening, but when people do drop out of Dev Bootcamp after they made the payment, like there's no refund policy or anything, why does that happen, would you say?
First of all, there is a refund policy. There's a couple of points at the program where if you decide to leave, you can get a portion of your money back. So there actually is sort of a prorated refund system. It doesn't happen that often. When people leave for good, so you could take the assessment. One sort of obvious reason is if you take the assessment and you don't pass and you repeat and then you don't pass again, we ask you to leave and we give you some of your money back. The end goal here is that you get a job, and if we don't think we can get you to that point, we don't really want to waste your time, is the honest truth. That's one option. Other stuff, personal, family things, you find out your spouse is pregnant, you are pregnant, you get sick, you have to move, you have like, those kinds of things happen. What are the other reasons people leave?
That's pretty much it. I'll say that like related to the repeating twice, being asked to leave, it doesn't happen very often.
Repeating once is fairly common.
Yes.
Usually a couple of people in each group, either for academic or social, you know, logistical reasons repeat. But yeah, being asked to leave is pretty rare.
Yeah, and I would just point out, like, repeating is not, it's not always a choice. If you need to repeat, you need to repeat, and you're going to spend another 3 weeks. And if you can only be here for 9 weeks, and that means you repeat one phase once and you just leave because, you know, you were only planning to be here for 9, you didn't plan for the possibility of 12 or 15, then let's say you get to the end of phase 2 and there's no more time in your schedule, then you'll just leave at phase 2. You can still do career week and all that. You know, no one's trying to like push you out the door or anything. But the reason that is that we are incredibly invested and truly do care about you. Everyone finishing this program with the right amount of experience and skill level to go out and get a job. And I'm not going to let anyone sort of slip through and just make it and graduate. We'll all clap for you if I really don't think that you're ready to complete the program and graduate. So you arriving at that endpoint, like being ready for a beginning development job, is always on the mind of the instructors and all the staff here. And if we need to slow you down, we'll do that. The worst thing is you to come here, pay all this money, walk out, and not be equipped. So that's why we have assessments. That's why we constantly review your code. That's why we listen to your questions and keep a close eye on where you are in this program. You can all do this. It may take you 9 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks. Doing it in 15 is crazy. Again, I spent years to get to where you are when you leave this program. So doing it in 15 weeks, 12 weeks, or 9 weeks is all equally nuts. But it's possible, and it happens here. Every 3 weeks, students graduate. So I don't know, that's sort of my piece on, we really want everyone to succeed here. And we designed the program to make that truly possible for as many people as we can.
The instructors really do go out of their way to make sure that you succeed also. I mean, Nate leads the squirrels, but I have gotten one-on-one help from Duke, from, you know, all of the teachers at some point in time. They have all sat there and worked something out that I was struggling with. They all really have want us to do well. It's not like, they get a portion of our first year's salary or anything. They actually just really care that much.
Yeah. This is also not a program that prides itself on exclusivity. Like if you're doing research, you might see some programs that say we only take the top 5% of applicants. This isn't that. We would like to take as many people as we can. And we think people of all different backgrounds can do this successfully. Whether you can make it work logistically, financially is a different question, but we will give you as much support as we possibly can, sort of within reason, to try to help you get to that level where you can get your first job. One more. Did I see another hand? Yeah.
Are the projects and the group projects still live online? And is the source code from accessible on the GitHub, so you can see like what's the result?
Some of them are online. Most of them, I think, we're encouraged in the final projects to make the code publicly available on GitHub, just so that we can show it to employers. It's not part of the private repo. I don't know if there's a compiled list for all of them, but I mean, I'd be happy to show you where my final project is.
So I could get the access to some repos.
Grab my business card on your way out.
If you'd like to calculate the most efficient and cost-effective way to get home tonight, you can go to my-way.herokuapp.com, which is an app that the last cohort to graduate, one group made. I actually used it to figure out when we went to a doctor's appointment for my daughter, whether it would be cheaper enough to take the train versus a taxi to like justify the time difference. So like run some algorithms and tell me like, yeah, I'd save like 5 minutes if I took a cab, but it's only cost me an extra $10, so we just decided to walk a little more to the train. It's a nice little app. It takes into account like weather and even asks you some questions about your preferences, so you get tailored results to that. It's my-way.herokuapp.com. I'm pretty sure that their app has a link to their app.
But I can send you a few others.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
They're people's projects, so I would only send them with permission, but yeah.
Yeah, apps are out there, source code's out there. Truthfully, you do a final project, you finish, you're exhausted, you demo on demo day, and you start looking for a job on Tuesday. Keeping the project up, going back and, I mean, students go back and kind of, you know, improve source code and things, but just like a little warning, you know, this is not something they've been working on since then. It's an 8-day project. It's to practice working as a group and kind of having free reign on technology choice and things like that. So you'll find stuff out there, but once you leave, your final project is like, you know, that great weekend you had 2 summers ago with your friends, and it's over now. But it was fun.
And you learned a lot.
Yeah.
It is remarkable what these apps do, considering that they only had 8, and they didn't really have 8 days to work on it, because one of those days is spent practicing presentation. It is remarkable.
Yeah,
things
they're
that
awesome.
These apps do.
They're really cool.
On that note, can I get a round of applause for our panel, please? If you haven't taken a tour and you would like to see the student space, please meet me at the exit sign right behind you. The rest of you, feel free to stick around, talk to folks, ask some questions, grab materials if you can get.
Yeah.
And please come back and visit us again. We would love to see you.
Congratulations on that. I know you're waiting for that. No.
You can't say it out loud until it's real. Huh?
It's not real.
Yeah, I know.
Thanks all for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
It's their tech consultancy. They have offices in Toronto, Colorado, New York, and San Francisco, as well as Chicago. And they broke Jasmine because they're so dedicated to TV. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. And they're here every day. You know, it's like pretty hours, but also when I was first going through the process, they were like, so it's 9 to 6, you get an hour for lunch, and then like 6 o'clock that's it, you're not working on our code anymore. So it's like good separation between work and life. Yeah.
So started cooking HTML.
What is the company?
Out of book.
I'm waiting for
Text,
Sorry?
web editor.
It's a tech
I
consultancy.
just wanted to make sure.
So people are like, I need you to solve my technical problem. And we're like, we can do it.
At week 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I just didn't
So,
like.
hi.
Talking notes.
Yeah.
I got a quick question,
I mean,
for specifically you guys.
Yeah.
Looking at
What
phase
does it
0,
mean? What
are
is
you
it?
guys working full time when you're doing it?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And you were able to do all the pair programming and.
Yeah. I mean, it was hectic, for sure, but
And
yeah, it was possible.
I would practice JavaScript online because it takes time in browser, you know, find lots of tutorials.
Yeah, I was
so starting
working,
HTML, CSS is great.
like I said, I was working at
I
a
would
cafe,
also
so I
give
would have
the
like
to
the morning
like,
shift or
like
an
Java,
evening shift. And
writing.
usually I would
Code
spend a
that
couple of
does that,
hours
right?
each day
HTML,
that I was working on Dev
So,
Bootcamp stuff, and then on my days
different
off, it would be more like 4 or 5 hours per day. And then I would still have free time and not go
JavaScript's a
insane.
little more complicated than.
But if you were reserved
Yeah,
more
really,
like
you do the
every
Ruby
5
mod
o'clock,
Yeah.
for the Monday through Friday.
I think we'd be okay with
Yeah.
that, yeah.
I know people who read that too.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
Dip your toe in.
Yeah.
That's online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your weekends are gonna be more heavy, I think, than if you're doing that, but
It all just
Okay.
runs in your
But
browser.
yeah, it's possible.
And
For
it
sure.
teaches you the basics of Ruby, JavaScript. There's an HTML, CSS. There's a few others. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff.
I just don't want to start something.
Like the
you know,
intent.
I like it, but not enough.
Programming here and all the time you spend
So the
here.
force
How does that
deal,
move?
it seems like a
Like
good
with your
job.
budget time frame
360
in your
sounds like
like, are you putting in
a
that
month away.
crazy amount of
Oh,
time
the
frame as
different
well?
cohorts?
No.
A month is
Yeah,
good.
it's,
I would-
so now
As long
my
as
wife
you-
stays home with
I
my
probably
daughter.
spend
And I just work like 9 to 5.
probably 5 or 10 hours a week.
And it lives pretty close to
doing some
my job.
coding trials online.
So I'm
doing
home.
Ruby months.
Okay.
Give those a shot.
Pretty
and
much
if you-
right after work.
Yeah.
You made a point where
And
you're
I
like,
have
oh,
weekends off now. I don't
yeah,
work
right.
evenings.
Yeah.
Just waiting tables. So it's weird.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly how I was. That's kind of a big fear. Like, my wife's going to be single parent for like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to see how after that does that kind of roll into
Yeah.
career-wise.
Yeah. Once you get through, once you're working in this industry, especially if you've got a background in second shift or whatever, it's so yeah, it's just night and day.
Yeah.
But also, like going through the program, I took every Sunday off completely. I didn't write any code.
Well, yeah,
didn't
right.
go in.
You've got to hit the reset button every once in a while.
Because yeah, for us, that is what works well to have like at least one day that we can count on having family time.
Yeah, right.
And then after graduation, once I was job searching, then I worked more like 8 to 5 hours.
But I would also
But
say that
in the
it might
evening, I just
be
go
like,
home
I know it's
and
hard to be like,
be around. So it's not. I mean, it's 2 to 2.5 months of that crazy pace.
Yeah, right.
And then it gets a lot more.
Yeah, it seems like
the thing is,
it's
take the time.
Yeah. And
Take
yeah,
the time to read the docs, and then the
and
next
get
time
through,
you
like,
do a
just
project,
maybe
maybe you don't have it memorized, but you're like, oh, I know that this thing exists, and you're like, no.
I think like
yeah.
And
Thanks a
that's
lot.
all you guys think. I check for 11 grand, whatever.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard there were some instructor issues.
If you leave, you know, you come here, you spend your first week, and it's not for you. I think the first week you get all your money. I don't know. And then after that, you get a little bit.
Oh no, I'm friends with Duke. He told me about it. Oh, thank you, Zach.
Once you even get all the way through the outline stuff, into the space,
Everybody's saying what you just said. Like,
at that
everyone's
point, you give you a
fine,
chance to get
everybody's
nearly all the money. And then the longer you stay, the less you get.
Right. That makes sense. People do still drop off. You're pretty
2
good at
days
keeping people.
before we started, or the day before we
You
started final
will have
project,
found out, especially.
we were actually doing the OOJS Etsy challenge. That used to be a Facebook challenge. 2 days before, I was like, I remember I was just like standing there. I couldn't even sit down anymore because I was just like, and I was just standing there with my pear like on the verge of tears because I was like, how, if I can't do this, how the fuck am I gonna do the 8-day, right? And but then, you know, we did it and we got through it and we did the 8-day project. My team built a robot. Like, we built a robot. Other people built these like really cool apps. One group did basically the, you know, have you seen Clueless? Yeah, he basically did that app. Yeah.
No witnesses, no word against.
So like,
you know,
I don't know. It's the kind of thing where it's like it's harder to see when you're not in it, and especially when you still have the challenges to complete and you still have the like weeks to go. But once you are in the 8-day project, it's like I don't know. I also had a really good experience with my group where everybody was really focused on working towards the same goal and like, okay, so like you're working on this thing and I'm working on like how can I best support you? Oh, it's to work on this other thing.
It always seems to always go wrong. They have back pain, they have surgery, and then it's just it's good, and then it gets bad.
Anyway, so it's perfect timing for me.
So, hey, I appreciate hearing you. It looks like you're a pretty good instructor too.
Yeah, I really have.
Yeah.
I saw people.
8-day projects is largely group dynamics.
You're just learning
Unfortunately,
stuff like that.
Well, unfortunately for some.
Yeah, the space requires a lot of discipline. There is no pooping around. I mean, people have fun, but you got to do your work. You got to be present.
Yeah.
Probably in a week or so.
You're not like thinking about it anymore, yeah.
And iron out, yeah.
Yeah, you'll see. I mean, the other thing is we kind of have to be, which I'm sure you are, flexible on your 8 days, not in terms of like.
Yeah, there's another
what
school
needs to get
there.
done.
Yeah, they like starter league or
what needs to get done.
Not starter league.
But also in terms of like
assembly,
following the
general
practices, like what's most important is keeping everybody in
Have you heard good things about
communication
them?
with each other.
I've heard they
So,
are.
like my team at the beginning,
They're just all about
we were like, we're always gonna get code reviews before we merge anything. Always gonna do that, and then it ended up being like 2 guys working on the robot, 1 guy working on the animation, and me building the rest of the website. Right? Which was fine. Like it ended up fine, but so when I wanted to merge something, I would like make the pull request, and I would be like, hey, come look at this. But then
I'm off like 4 months a year.
But then it just eventually got to the point where I was like, hey, so this is what I did. There's no conflict. I haven't changed like anybody else's code. I'm just gonna merge this. And we were all sitting in the same room, so I would like announce it, but they were like, yeah, okay, fine, yeah.
Investment money turned into more money, sort of.
There's a couple days like that. Which was, yeah, it was fine, but it's not best practices. But it's also like, that's the best practices that you have when you have months on the project, you know?
They're all employable.
Yeah, I don't recommend for the program if you're not.
Yeah.
I know there's a range, an income range, like, I'm not asking that for like me, but what's the offer, 60, 70 or less?
Yeah, I would say it's, especially, like right now, it's completely.
A lot of it depends.
Sorry, I'm just like unloading all this advice that you want. But it's like, I would say like it's completely reasonable to be like, I'm just gonna watch this thing, like, not like fuck the coding, but like because I'm gonna learn something about this, and then maybe I can apply it.
I'd say
the next thing you do it.
60 and up. Emily could probably get you actual numbers. Guessing from what I hear from students. Once you've done this for a while, once you've done this for a number of years, 5, 6 years, not difficult at all to make 110.
So I didn't watch it, so when the weekend came, it's like,
I'm turning 60, I gotta be real careful.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So if I had like,
that's
you just put in the
enjoyable
time now,
for
so like
my
later.
age group.
Exactly, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's why restaurants are really good.
I haven't always been following it.
But I gotta, you know, there's
Yeah,
an
the
end.
nice thing about this too is,
There's
part
no
of my career, I
discrimination
just,
in your, you could be in your 60s and coding, correct?
you can.
And they don't think twice about getting a seasoned coder at
No,
65.
we've got a lot of students who come in here who, not a lot, we get students who come in and they're 40, 50. We probably had a few 60-year-olds. You can ask them if you should be able to pull a stat like that. It is a younger person's industry. So you saw all the panelists, right? These are all students. The majority of them, John's definitely the oldest one here. I don't know the gentleman.
Okay,
I don't know if he was in his 40s or how old he is exactly. I mean, Zach's got a kid on. I think he's.
But you could be working as a coder without a problem in your 60s.
Yeah, you can.
I would think so.
I don't want to lie to you though. It is. You can totally do it, but you will find that as you go out there, this is an industry that, and we're trying to change this, but it is full of a lot of young white males. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So I would expect that you are going to run into some bias.
You think I'm going to run into some bias either coming out of your class?
Yep.
I will, huh?
Students your age do come through here, and they do go off and work, and they succeed. It's not that we have some stat that says, oh, they all have a really hard time. So it can be done. But if an industry is full of young people, there's got to be some bias to hiring people that look like all the other people in the office, right? It's inevitable.
But you can, but you just
can
interview well.
You can. You got to
Just
interview well. You've got the experience. You're a hard worker. You have so many things to draw on. You do well in the program. And honestly, it's just getting that first job. The first one is the hardest. That's why it takes 3 or 4 months. Once these students have had a job and worked for a
She
year.
graduated in November, and December's a dead month.
Yeah.
Here she is, on her thing.
Yeah.
That's 45 days.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing.
No, it's not.
Ain't nothing. And he's been working 6 months, and he must have gotten in the first month.
Yeah, you got
That
it.
ain't nothing.
Yeah.
And he's still with the same company.
Yeah.
You know how many mistakes he made?
And once they have their first job, the ones after come quickly.
I agree.
In this industry,
Plus,
if you
you said
have
they're
enough
learning. Plus, they're
experience,
learning a
they're
heck of a
getting
lot.
paid to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how much money I got paid to learn? It was incredible.
I agree.
It's a fantastic. I really do enjoy this industry. I really do enjoy this work. I find it really rewarding. Look, I'm able to bounce here and teach for 2 years, and then next week go get a job being a developer again, or you know. So I freelanced for 3 or 4 years and just worked from home and had whatever schedule I wanted to work my ass off.
You found the work.
But I found the work.
Yeah.
I charged hourly, and
What was the hourly?
I decide back then I think I charged $75 an hour.
Yeah.
Now I charge like $150 an hour.
Yeah.
It was years ago. So if you don't want to have a full-time job, I think I wouldn't encourage students to go freelance right away. I would encourage them to go work someplace,
You learn too much.
do it for 3 or 4 years. Then if you want to freelance for a while, go for it. Depending what kind of life you want, but definitely learning on the job.
I'm actually disciplining myself now. When you had a sports injury, you don't get up at 7 o'clock in the morning anymore. You get up at 9 or 10, and you know you got something to do at 1, so you're not up at 6. You know, so I'm learning how to work out and back to working out at a certain time. You know,
Here it's 8 to 5 on.
Yeah, I understand.
Can't be a minute late. I've never worked a job like this where you can't be a minute late.
No, I'm looking forward for that. I'm really looking forward.
I love it. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Good chatting with you. Best of luck, man. Keep up the hard work.
I'll see you again.
What's up, Gabby? I was still here. I like
This is availability.
So basically, one place where you profile.
Chemistry and medicine.
I don't know. So you need to look at the pushing audio customer support tool like
Verbally, you say
So that was really like that. What their ethic is.
Like
They don't accept anything, so I think
you basically have to have your word. Where it's already.
How much you actually once you start saying everything about a demo day has everything to do with oh my gosh, this is it's seriously it's exactly what I wanted to get. It's your last chance to be here.
And so I expect there to be else too, but they will all because I mean, this is normal.
He's very yes, you start instantly you start realizing like it seems just
it's just been
I was tweeting And I'm thinking, you don't want to see me energizing that role. Like, you don't want to see me being the best propagandist. I don't know if the world can handle me. Propaganda.
Oh, we're gonna go like right now? Good. Oh, man. That's so cool. Said I decided to put my boyfriend and like publicly shame him. Like, so we're gonna go to Jupiter's Sunday or
Oh my God, that's right.
Oh, just talking about so like you're an idiot. This movie is so stupid. Basically, we lose a man who's part wolf saves a woman who is a born again royal because she's a genetic clone of an evil woman from like eons ago. He saves her, and when she's like given the universe, she's like, screw that, I'm gonna go back and make clean toilets. All I want is you because you have angel wings now. Channing Tatum. There you go. I made up a new name for him. I love that you call him Tatum Channing. I like to.
Your name is a name. Like you just walk in here with 2 strings and expect me to call one a first name. How could you write an algorithm that can figure out which of Channing and Tatum was the first name? You can't write this thing. There's no trying to show
I'm actually starting by writing Bayes' naive theorems, like learning how you like find out like really spam shit. I'm just starting with the easiest thing.
You should do Bayesian analysis with like BAE, SIAN analysis, and you should take like just a shit ton of Twitter DMs.
Oh my god.
And run actual Bayesian analysis on them. So like I don't know, suss out this and that. But call it Bayesian analysis. It's just restricting your data set. What? Yeah.
I have a bunch of
This reminds me of that line from Eminem in Survival where he says, I'm not a rapper, I'm an actor, I can just. Like, this actually perfectly encompasses what these creation for.
Yeah.
Like, hey, in a world after, okay, I know you're teaching these people about the iPhone 4, but the iPhone 4 is like going to be obsolete in like 2 months. Yeah, it's chill, bro. We got you. Good. What you need to do after this, you need some iPhone 4 shit. Oh, wait. This is basically a framework.
Is this how you pass like anecdotal wisdom on to your You have a daughter, right? Yes. Okay. Is this how you pass on like wisdom to your
Right now,
daughter?
it's all object lessons through video games.
You're a good dad.
I'm up to, I think, 360 stars. I'm running 3D right now. I got all the stamps. I'm working on the crown level, and then a little marathon project, and then a little last 3D stage. And then I've got to go through the people.
Did you ever play Katamari for PlayStation?
Which one?
I
Do love or just the original?
I think just the original, probably.
With the cows on the box?
Yeah. So like my dad actually introduced that to me, and it was so funny because like anytime I would like do kind of good at it, like I would come home and like my scores like just like get like annihilated by his.
Yeah.
He's like, this is how you learn, girl. This is how you learn.
Yeah, you gotta be hard on your kids. Like, you know, like my daughter would be like, I want to take the controller, I want to play. I'm like, cool, and then she instantly dies. I'm like, that's what happens when doesn't play. It's Luigi, we're not playing kids games right now. She's been like 4.5, and she's
What's our email address? Me at Lorraine and that's it. Oh, okay.
Did you just sign it me, like it should PGP attached to your meeting?
Lorraine works with Scrap Social, which is a really cool company. Her question was like, what are the actual jobs like?
Oh, yeah,
I actually really asked that question. We have, that's called starting to beat up.
Yeah, we have 5 things to do, so I definitely probably think you want to chat.
And that's just one company, but
yeah, we have 2 that are platform engineers, and one of them we have 2 that are test engineers, and then we have one that's mobile engineer who works on iOS. So actually, everyone kind of started from well, 2, one platform and one mobile. We were all on platform, but there's one opportunity. Like basically, they're like, hey, you want to like write Objective C today? And that's how Aaron. But I can tell you more about it.
Lorena is one of the ones that does one-on-one information chats where like basically ask us anything. We have a floor on, so we will do video chats. So you can actually schedule with her.
Yeah, totally. So feel free to
that link will be in the email tomorrow.
Whatever kind of questions you have, I'm that crazy person.
emailed me at like 1 in the morning, like, I'll be back at 1:05, and like, why are you asleep? And I'm like, that's so crazy. I don't know, that's crazy. Thank you. All right, no problem. Start being like, don't worry about it. Have a good one. Bye. I don't think I get one. Does anyone else think about it? They're like walking up the chargers. You guys, I don't know. Okay, good. So honestly, these are events that we have. Yeah, these are all the same. This. The next thing that I was going to suggest, growth development. If you guys haven't done any growth development classes, they're amazing. And this is just a networking event, actually. So just making new classes come in and start thinking. We're at various stages. Some are like learning like developers, and some are learning. That's super fun. And then graduation is, if you want to come and see some final projects, it's like really fun. It's just like celebratory. And then the last thing is, this is a new thing we just had. I'm really excited about it. It's like creative coders. People who had like interesting artsy backgrounds, writers, poets, musicians, theater folks, who would be developers. So come to anything. I'd love to see you here. I know it's like a huge commitment, something you can lecture around tomorrow.
That is my other question.
Maybe you can turn around.
What is the turnaround? Like, if someone decides I want to do this, what's the usual amount of time between like starting after classes and starting?
So you can do the application if you want, and it will be like a week to 10 days between the application and interview, and that's to give you some time to do those really fun challenges that I mentioned. And then from the interview, assuming you get accepted, and it's not like I said, it's not trying to be super intense exclusivity. It's trying to just make sure you know what you're getting into, and you're going to be a good productive collaborative member of the space. Assuming that works, you present your deposit and you choose your start date. So when you do your deposit's $1,000, and you can pick a date if you know you need some time to get finances for the rest of it, or to move, or do whatever you got to do. Like you can pick a start date, you can pick your cohort. So that's sort of how it works. And the next one, I can't remember, 316. So that would be phase 0. That's when you start phase 0.
Okay, so that, assuming the finances and stuff's already sort of lined up, it could be like within 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Things do fill up, and we cap the number of students to try to keep the teacher-student ratio. So the earlier the better, but I will say, I mean, things will fill up. So they're not both stacked 6 months or something like that. Like 316 is definitely, I know that. Did you go to like No, not before applying. You will do that as part of speech. Oh, you'll brush up. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. You don't need to prep for the application. Absolutely not.
My interview, so I got that. I have my interview on Thursday, so I know like I'm going through the. But I don't know, is that actually going to be like a live technical test, or is that something we talk about?
You're going to talk about it. Yeah. It's to give you some like common ground for your interviewer to talk about code and tech and how you felt about it. All that jazz. It's not a test.
And then I have one more kind of, well, specific, but so it just so happens that very recently, coinciding with my own service program, my dog broke my computer.
No.
So I'm getting a new one. So I was wondering, is there
You can use PC format. We recommend that.
You recommend that because it's better to code.
Yeah, and because instructions, it's majority of what's being used, so more of our instructions are here. By the way, but we have PC users. We also have computers here. If you are stuck,
I can do it. So I was just wondering.
Plus, then it's, you can't take it home to work. You can't like, so it's better when you're in that. So,
But to the point that
you don't have a Mac, that's how you should get one. No, I don't understand that. No, we have computers, but we recommend you have one if you can, because that way you can do homework after, like, end of the weekend. You don't have to come in. If you can't, we have stations that are fully equipped. I would not provide. Anything else? Email me if you have questions. I would love to see you there. Okay, that sounds good. How are you, Chris?
I'm well.
What have you been doing?
I've been doing a lot of statistics.
Cool.
I talked to Olivia.
Yeah. Yeah, she's amazing. She's incredible.
I'm just, I like this. I'm just not sure.
That's fair.
So that doesn't mean that she's not.
I won't take it personally, I promise.
I wanted to ask you, is there any I can look at with you? Theoretically, I just have one.
Yeah, I'll email it to you.
Oh, yeah, that's for you. I was like, no, that's for me.
No, what's your email?
Also, what is that? You learn to code, but that's an email. What happens when you email?
That's for prospective students. See the other option. This is the most common we use for graduation. So most of the people that come in here in San Luis are employers. So it's sort of like if you want to hire people, if you want to get demos, you want to do mentoring, like you want to start a program, hello at like
Really, Tom, like adding a new fucking line and like getting it to be a
yes. You go down that way.
There's a girl bathroom.
Yeah. It's 5 little points. Thank you.
It was so
nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Good questions. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. And I'm going to reach out to the other regardless. I work with I only had to first year here, which was pretty sweet. It was just in college, I kept on taking classes that I had after the terms. In like retrospect, like during the time, like this sweet, I'm cruising. Retrospective year, I was like, okay. I'm not implying that this is a waste of money. I just mean, whenever you like,
but at the same time, I want to emphasize that the non-technical skills, the career readiness, the team programming, feedback stuff, that's not for kicks. That's a real part of it.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Do you feel technically good to go on the job now?
It's just this is just one of like options that I'm considering. That's why I watch. So it's who was the woman that was super nice in here, and then she was from Sprouts.
Yeah, Lorena.
I'm meeting with Lorena. So we do her. She's a data scientist. Yep. And it's like really hard to be a data scientist. So I'm just wondering if this is like appropriate tool.
Yes. It might be, it might not be.
Yeah, that's why I'm really happy to
talk to her. She's a great resource. And I'll email you some of the stuff.
It's because I do everything in Python, so I know it's a Ruby, but I do in Python. It's like weird to not be able to do that.
Cool. Oh, so did you register on Eventbrite? Then you know this is for walking.
I like this stuff. I recommend it.
Good. Did you see Lella?
Yeah.
He was the telephone caller.
Oh, Alex? Alex Alex?
No, Lella Juan.
Oh, I don't know. I just meant I go to Normal a lot. I go to meetups.
Cool.
Recognize them. Well, it's fixed, right?
Cool. Well, I'll send you a note with some stuff and if you have more questions after.
A lot of my friends do this in other posts. We were just talking.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of like what's the percentage of say like people who do this get a job? I'm just curious.
Oh, small. In each group, there's usually maybe 3 or 4 people that are not in Chicago, and they might be going to California, but they might also be like moving back to Michigan, Detroit. So 3 or 4 people out of a group of 15 or so. So
It's Omaha and Austin. Those are like the really cool tech places now. Which will always be the case. And like, thank you very much. I look forward to
Bye, Chris.